The crypto markets are at a crossroad. We know the stock markets are still bleeding. They have not recovered, all while the US debt has just surpassed 36 trillion. Interest payments are skyrocketing. But okay, that's the bad news. Now for the good news, global liquidity is surging, guys. It seems we've officially entered into a new liquidity surge. And historically, cycles have shown that Bitcoin moves 107 days approximately after the M2 or the global money supply moves or expands, meaning we could very likely be on the edge of a massive shift in the markets, all while the BRICS Nations Alliance have been petitioning and pushing and sneakily using crypto in its trade. That said, we know that this is also one of the most critical weeks the Fed has faced with its FOMC announcements and decisions this week. So the question is this the final shakeout before the market goes parabolic or goes up? So that's what we're going to get into in today's video. So hello, my name is Jessica. I'm so happy you've tuned in or found my channel. And without further ado, let us get into today's data and research. Okay, so we're going to start off with Bitcoin's price. As of the time of this video, Bitcoin's at $83,366. We know that there was a correction over the weekend. First, it held on steady, then a correction. So anyway, all in all, I believe, and you would know this if you've tuned into my channels, that yes, although alternative financial channels will say that we are entering into a recession, many of these are traditional finance channels. I believe that in conjunction or in addition with the global money supply increasing, that all of the other market conditions and the president that we have in the cabinet, the people, the leaders he surrounded himself with, and all of their backgrounds tell me and point to, and with the speed in which Trump has been moving, I believe that the market will come back soon. So as for myself and for you tuning into my channel, my feedback on the market is that we're fine. This is sideways trending for now, but let's get into the rest of today's video so we can understand why I believe that the market is going to be rallying soon. That said, if we take a look at that's the general crypto market on the monthly, here it's on the weekly, and on the daily, it looks like the altcoins have been doing decently well considering all. And here's the chart that I was referencing earlier in my intro. This is essentially a snapshot of what the market looked like over the weekend. So Friday we ended, the market actually pumped some. Saturday was more or less just sideways, zero volatility. Sunday, it was a liquidation roller coaster. So many people were just down and out about market conditions. And then today is Monday, depending on where you are in the world. But if you're in the US, then we'll see what today holds. But we know that there were many great announcements, including Cynthia Lummis's announcement, which we will check out here, basically reintroducing the Bitcoin Act, which if we scroll down here, we will see that essentially this was squashed, right, with the previous administration. But now with the new Trump administration, she is re-proposing this bill it's called the Bitcoin Purchase Program, and it's aimed at acquiring 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years. And I'll read what is on the screen here, which goes on to say, with holdings maintained for at least 20 years, which would be great because, and I brought this up in a past video on wondering how the US could protect itself and its Bitcoin holdings from being sold with the next presidential administration. So how could the US protect itself and its Bitcoin assets if there's like a new, president that doesn't understand Bitcoin and decides to sell the US's Bitcoin's holdings? So that said, this is great because with her bill, there would be, I guess, some sort of mandate requiring this Bitcoin to be held for 20 years, which is fantastic. which would solve for this problem. And within 20 years, Bitcoin holdings would be worth a tremendous amount. So at that point, I think any president at that time, regardless of their financial education, should understand its worth and hopefully not sell it. So this is fantastic. And this is one of the reasons that I believe that Bitcoin's price is going to go up. This is so temporary. And I believe we're seeing the tail end of Bitcoin's price as it's been suppressed lately. But okay, moving on to just cover general market updates in case you missed it over the weekend. But we know that as of Sunday, so before today, if you were in the US, over the weekend, we know that the market was still in red. The futures market was red across the board. We read here by Kobesi letter, and that's despite, of course, any new tariff news, mainly because it was the weekend. So we'll have to see what Monday today looks like in the US. Hopefully we have some news on the war between Ukraine and Russia in the ceasefire petition that Trump is negotiating for on behalf of the world. So let us see. And all of this in light of the Fed's interest rate decision this week. So remember, that happens on the 19th and it's going to be huge. But all right, zooming out some more, and I find this interview, I don't want to say a little funny at this point, but you can't get mad at people for their lack of understanding of the market, because it takes all of us day in, day out, a lot of time in educating ourselves on what's going on, especially trying to understand Bitcoin and how it's fundamentally going to go up in value. But anyway, here we have Meet the Press interviewing Scott Bessent.
Talk about what happened in the stock market this week. Worst week for the market in 2 years. Does that worry you, Mr. Secretary?
Not at all. I've been in the investment business for 35 years, and I can tell you that corrections are healthy.
Right.
They're normal. What's not healthy is straight up, that you get these euphoric markets. That's how you get a financial crisis. It would have been much healthier if someone had put the brakes on in 06, 07. We wouldn't have had the problems in 08. So I'm not worried about the market.
Right.
Let's talk about what happened.
Right. So just the question, and I don't mean to be commenting on her questions because I know she gets handed her questions as a reporter here, but to ask that question, the market is alive. It goes up and down. We know this. And the market is down right now for so many reasons that we know, tariffs mainly, and the global, sorry, not the global, I want to say it's global, but the US's debt, which is tremendous, which I'll show you here in a second how we're doing. But there are very big and natural reasons as to why the market has been down, but there's also tremendous and incredible news happening pointing to the fact the market is going to rally soon. Egg prices went down. We know gas has been down. So let's keep reading. But okay, yeah, so what I have on the screen here is by Ryan Detrick, and he's a market strategist at the Carson Group. So anyway, he shares this chart with us and basically explains that the correction we're seeing right now, long story short, is the quickest correction. Basically, it happens super fast and we're also recovering quite fast. So very, very normal. And here is the other fact I was sharing with you a moment ago as to why the markets are down. This website I've referenced to you in the past. You can look it up. It's super interesting, actually. It's called the usdebtclock.org, and it shows us where we are right now. This is the US's debt reported live. It's wild. And we're currently at we're on our way to 37 trillion, put it that way, dollars in national debt. And all of this has interest on it. So it's that interest, as we're going to see in these next pieces of information and data, it's that interest that now is needing to be refinanced. And that's why in many ways, the government they are scrambling intelligently with many intelligent people on how to solve this. And in large part, the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve is one of the solutions to this debt. But let's keep moving on. And here we have a chart shared by Chamath Palihapitiya, who is also on the All In podcast, super awesome podcast on macro news from an insider's perspective, giant in the space, really awesome podcast, but it is quite high level. So anyway, he shares this chart on how fast the US's interest rate is going up. You can see the government interest expense is up 2 times past its previous all-time high in the past 5 years. And then of course we have Elon here commenting to how this massive problem is being fixed in large part due to the efforts of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, that's looking to cut all unnecessary expense, which then gets taxed and is part of this massive US government debt problem. So zooming in a little bit on this by Bessie letter, I'll just read for you what they share, but they say US interest payments are set to rise even higher. So this is the problem that the US is scrambling to fix, and that the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve in large part helps address, along with Doge helping cut unnecessary expense. So they go on to say, the US interest expense on national debt hit a record of 1.2 trillion over the past 12 months. So to put this into perspective, defense spending was 900 billion during the same period. If rates remain flat, interest payments are set to hit 1.5 trillion by the end of the year, doubling in just 4 years. So even if the Fed cuts rates by 100 basis points, interest costs will still hit 1.3 trillion in 2025. This all assumes the economy will avoid a recession or any material economic slowdown. So this is clearly a crisis that the US is trying to get out of as fast as possible, all while trying to fix the tariff situation. As Besant was saying earlier in his interview with NBC Meet the Press interview, having healthy global economic regulation, even though it's painful right now, it's necessary because it sets the foundation for a healthy global economy moving forward. That said, we also should be extremely grateful that Trump and his team move and have been moving very fast. So that's what tells me, if you just look at the track record, chances are it's all going to get resolved very fast. But okay, what else? So then Quinton zooms in on this even more and explains what I was saying a moment ago. So we have $9.2 trillion of US debt maturing, basically like all these huge loans, and it's needing to be refinanced at a higher interest rate. So that's 25.4% of the total debt. And the only solution that governments have known so far, outside of Doge, outside of, solving this war, because once the war is solved, it's going to have an effect on the market. The market is going to pump because it'll be happy and excited that it's over. That all alongside the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve and global liquidity going up. So all of that combined, as you see here on the first solution that Quinton outlines, which is money printing, quantitative easing. But as the money gets printed, this is going to debase or devalue our currency. And this is happening internationally. We're going to see who else is doing this in this video. So great, there's more money. People, are going to be able to spend more. It's going to be, hopefully they're going to cut rates. We're going to find out this week, which is going to encourage people to take out more business loans. And, it's going to stimulate the market. People might go buy a house or, whatever the case might be. But ultimately, this devalues our money. So it's not good. And when that happens, it's a good situation for Bitcoin and the crypto market. Historically, there's a correlation. The crypto market pumps, goes up in value, everything starts going up in value when there's currency debasement and quantitative easing or money printing. So this chart shows us what's happening globally. You can see right here where I'm circling with my mouse. This is the cycle and the pattern of global liquidity. And you can see that we're currently on our way up. So, okay, checking out what's I'm sharing here on the screen, shared with us by Crypto F7ZZ. They basically outline that April is looking to be the last consolidation period. We are very likely looking at Bitcoin breaking out in May, which eventually that value will roll over into altcoins. So very likely we're looking at June being a time when the markets could reach a new all-time high and then hopefully go parabolic from there. And in terms of great news, we have Brazil also pushing for crypto to be used amongst itself and the rest of the BRICS nations, because we know it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and Saudi. So while this is not good for the US necessarily, because the US wants all trade to be done in the US dollar. And this is part of the tariff war. Who knows what's going on between their negotiations and the BRICS nations, because we know Trump was threatening 100% tariff on the BRICS nations if they didn't use the US dollar, but who knows? In the meantime, it's at least good that they're using Bitcoin actually. And now Brazil is pushing for crypto as well to be used for its trade. So ultimately, this is good for the crypto market, though it's not necessarily good for the US. But I know that the US is going to figure this out because ultimately all of the crypto market uses USDT and USDC first and foremost to enter into the crypto market. And if the US dollar, and we know that that Tether or USDT and USDC hold the US dollar in forms of bonds, treasury notes, etc., to back their tokens, right? Their stable coins. So there is a correlation there that ultimately helps the US dollar anyway, but either way, it's a good case for the crypto market. That said, in terms of updates for this week and what to watch out for, guys, it's going to be a huge week, so stay tuned. We know that we have Fed interest rate decision announcements on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the FOMC statement also during that time. Then we have the dot plot announcement as part of the FOMC announcement. And then also we're going to have Jerome Powell speaking all within 2 to 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. So the market always reacts on this day. So don't trade, hopefully, though I'm not supposed to give you financial advice, but this is safe financial advice unless you know how to play the market, but I don't. And it does take a lot of dedication. So unless you're a pro trader or you have dispensable income that you don't mind losing, I would recommend you don't play the market on Wednesday because it will be highly volatile. But anyway, a big week. And taking a look at where we are, despite everyone saying that doesn't really know that, oh, this is the end for Bitcoin, it's over. Actually, it's not. Bitcoin is officially confirmed to be at its bottom, which speaks to the fact or points to the fact that the market will go up from here, right? Things only go up from the bottom. So this is fantastic. And this chart was shared by Quinton. So thank you for this chart. And then lastly, just two pieces of info. There's a lot of Bitcoin being bought up. This was shared by Kapoor Kishitz, and he shares with us that whales or big holders, they're scooping Bitcoin as always. And they know how to read the market and they understand and they do their research. This is what they do. This is what they live off of. So if they're not scared and they're buying Bitcoin, neither should we. So it's a very good example to us all. And then on the other hand, and this is just a little sad for me, but it's just the way markets work and the world works in general, is that there's also a trend with those holding under 1 Bitcoin selling their Bitcoin. Now, this is either because you can say it's because they don't fundamentally believe in Bitcoin or understand it, or maybe they just need to take some money off the table because they're not as rich as the whales. So either way, times like this really challenge you and you do more of what you know or what you don't know. So all in all, these are still very exciting days. I hope you see it that way. We're just getting started with the weeks. You're gonna wanna stay tuned. I'll be covering it closely. And in the meantime, you know, I'm a diehard long-term believer, fundamentalist that knows Bitcoin is going to be worth in the millions someday. And in the meantime, all of this is just the weather and our journey there. So from me, you're going to get no fear, but I will be covering the market nevertheless, no matter what happens. So have a wonderful day. Happy Monday. And I will catch you guys here tomorrow. Ciao.